Did you already knit the body of the sweater? Are you impatient to see how to knit the sleeves? Okay then, let's go! This is the last part of the series, and if you find these videos helpful, I will be more than thankful if you like and share them, and also leave me a comment in the comment section below. If you haven't watched the previous parts, I recommend to check them out first. Now let's knit the sleeves. First, make sure the racking handle is in its lowest position and the beds are centered. Raise 64 needles on the front bed, 32 to the left and 32 to the right side of the center. Place the edge springs on the last working needles. Now raise 64 needles on the back bed. The needles must be arranged according to the needle rule. Place the edge springs on the last working ones. It should look like this. Set both locks to N and the stitch size to 3. Insert the orange strippers and take the main yarn for the sleeves. Now knit one row. Set both locks to CX and increase the stitch size to 4. Now knit 2 rows. Set both locks to N and increase the stitch size to 5. Now knit one row to finish the cast on. Reset the row counter, then set both locks to CX. Remove the orange strippers and insert the black ones. Rotate the racking handle counterclockwise to its highest position and knit 16 rows. Reset the row counter. Set both locks to N and the stitch size for the main stitch size for the pattern. In my case 5 on the front lock and 4 on the back. Move the edge springs and transfer the stitches according to the diagram. You have to arrange them the same way as for the sweater's body to achieve the same stitch pattern. Please don't forget to support me by liking the video and leaving me a comment below. After the stitches are transferred according to the diagram, use the single prong tool and increase one stitch on each side of the knitting. To do that, move the end stitch one needle out, then put a purl bump in the hook of the empty needle. Do the same on the left side of the knitting as well. Rotate the racking handle to its lowest position. The beds must be centered. Now knit 2 rows. Don't reset the row counter. Set the back lock to AX. On the front bed, move the edge springs and increase one stitch on either side of the knitting. Rotate the racking handle 2 full revolutions clockwise. Now knit 2 rows. Move the edge springs again and increase 1 stitch on either side of the knitting. You have to follow the equation given in the chart. This time we have to put one needle in working position on the back bed because the needles must be arranged according to the diagram. Instead of leaving that needle empty, use the single prong tool and put a purl bump in its hook. On the back lock, move the NX lever to end and knit 2 rows. Don't reset the row counter. Now increase 1 stitch on either side of the knitting. If you need, make a cheat sheet for each row so you have a step-by-step guide while making this part. Rotate the racking handle 2 full revolutions counterclockwise. Set the backlock to AX and knit 2 rows. Now increase 1 stitch on either side of the knitting once again. This time you have to put one needle in working position on the right side of the back bed. Don't forget to put a purl bump in its hook. Continue repeating these steps until the row counter is at 20 rows. Now you can reset the row counter. After knitting these 20 rows, I have to set the NX lever on the back lock to N. You have to continue following the stitch pattern instructions. Use the double prong tool and decrease 2 stitches at each end of the knitting. Then put the empty needles out of work. Transfer the leftmost stitch from the back bed to the last needle on the front bed. Then put the empty needle out of work. Now knit 2 rows. Rotate the racking handle 2 full revolutions counterclockwise. Set the backlock to AX, then knit 2 rows. Decrease 2 stitches at the right, then 2 stitches at the left side of the knitting. Put the empty needles out of work. Set the backlock to N and knit 2 rows. Rotate the racking handle 2 full revolutions clockwise. Set the backlock to AX, then knit 2 rows. Now decrease 2 stitches at each side of the knitting. You have to follow the equation given in the chart. Set the backlock to N and knit 2 rows. Continue repeating these steps until the row counter is at 64 rows. Now you can reset the row counter. Set the backlock to GX. Rotate the racking handle to its highest position. Move the edge springs and transfer all stitches to the opposite needles on the front bed. Put all needles on the back bed out of work. Return the ragging handle to its lowest position. Now move the edge springs and decrease 1 stitch on each side of the knitting as shown in the equation. Put the empty needles out of work. Now knit 4 rows. Don't reset the row counter. Now decrease 1 stitch on each side of the knitting the same way. Put the empty needles out of work and knit 4 rows. Now you can reset the row counter. Now move the edge springs and increase 1 stitch on each side of the knitting as shown in the equation. Transfer the end stitches 1 needle out, then put a purl bump in the hooks of the empty needles. Put the edge springs back on the last working needles and knit 4 rows. Don't reset the row counter. Now increase 1 stitch on either side of the knitting the same way. Don't forget to put purl bumps in the hooks of the empty needles. Now knit 4 rows. Reset the row counter. Now you have to cast off the remaining stitches and remove the knitting from the machine. To cast off the stitches, use the same method you used to cast off the stitches from the body. This is the sleeve right after you take it from the machine. To make the sweater, you have to knit 2 sleeves. Now I will show you how to make up the sweater. Take one of the sleeves and align its top with the top of the body. Then sew them together. Next, sew the other side of the sleeve to the second half of the body. Finally, sew the second sleeve to both halves of the body as shown in the video. It should look like this. Now fold the sweater with the right side inside and sew the sleeves and the sides of the body. When you sew the sleeves and the body, you have to fold the stockinette part towards the right side of the sweater and hand sew it to make the neckline. This way the neckline will match the bend on the body and the sleeves. But how do I know that? Well, I simply zoomed in on the photo in the magazine. This is the final result. Tell me, do you like how the sweater looks and what was the hardest thing in this pattern? That's all for today. I really hope you enjoyed watching this series and learned something new from each one of the videos. Now have a nice day and see you in my next video.